Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today everyone hates Hugh Freeze. What are we talking about? Well, in case you haven't been paying attention to the Auburn football program so far this year, they have started off a disappointing 2-2. Auburn fans thought that year 2 under Hugh Freeze, we might see this team step in the right direction. Well, it looks like this team has regressed in Hugh Freeze's second year, and they lost their second game of the year to Cal, which was a disappointing. You thought you'd maybe be able to handle that ACC team, as weird as it is to say that Cal's an ACC team. And then you lost to Arkansas, a game where you outgained them by about 100 yards. And after the game, and basically since that game has been going on, Hugh Freeze has had a thing called foot and mouth syndrome, where after the game he talked about his quarterback and his running back play, basically saying like, "Hey, it's hard for us to win when we got quarterbacks that are throwing the ball to the other team, and we got running backs that aren't holding on to the ball." He also said another crazy quote about this game that we're going to get to towards the end of this video, so make sure you stay around for that. But a lot of people, for how he handled the post-game press conference after the Arkansas loss, were ripping him online, including, shockingly enough, Hugh Freeze's former Ole Miss quarterback, Bo Wallace, unleashed on him on Twitter. This is a pretty damning thing for Bo Wallace to say, where he basically went after his former head coach, Hugh Freeze. This is what Bo Wallace had to say on Twitter. We're approaching the point where he's thrown so many quarterbacks under the bus that maybe no one wants to play for him. His offense helped me tremendously put up numbers when I blew my shoulder out. But why is it someone else's fault every time there's a loss? But when there's a win, I watch the press conference and I just count how many times the word "I" is used. Appreciate what he did for me. My son wouldn't be playing for him though. I got a story I'll keep in the back of my pocket forever until it's time. Parentheses, Auburn staffers calling my phone incoming. But that dude never helped me a day in his life. It was always only about getting a win for him so he could collect his extra 100 racks a win. If y'all knew the medications and shots I was taking to get that man his money, you wouldn't believe they would let you walk on a field like that. And with all that, I still feel the tires from the bus. Bo's drunk. Nah, he is as sober as he could be watching tape. Just tired. This dude's always blaming players every single time. Do your research on his offenses. Excluding his time at Liberty, look at the interceptions every QB he's had play for him throws. At some point, when it happens over and over every year, you look in the mirror, not at the players to save face. That is a pretty damning quote there from Bo Wallace, a guy that played for Hugh Freeze multiple seasons, was very productive for Hugh Freeze. So for him to call him out like that is pretty eye-opening. Now, I don't know. I'm willing to say this. Maybe Ole Miss people, maybe Auburn people can fill in the blanks for me here on some of this stuff in the comments. I don't know if there was any sort of other beef that has been going on publicly between these guys. I don't know enough about the situation. But if a multi-year starter for Hugh Freeze is calling him out publicly, like almost a decade later, I do think that is pretty damning. To the interception things, he is kind of right. If you look at his Arkansas State team, 16 interceptions. Then we go to the Ole Miss years, 18, 13, 15, 14, 14. Liberty, 8, 7, 14, 15. Now Auburn, 13. And this year so far, 8 interceptions. So these Hugh Freeze offenses do tend to be pretty productive, highly productive, but they do tend to be turnover heavy. So Bo Wallace does have a point here when it comes to stuff like that. Now, with that being said, this has been a thing that I've been hearing about. People talk about Auburn nationally for this entire season, basically saying like, hey, the reason this team is struggling is because Hugh Freeze decided to stick with Peyton Thorne. If you look at Peyton Thorne, compare him to the rest of the quarterbacks in the SEC, this dude is probably on the lower half of that spectrum, if not the bottom quarter of quarterbacks in the SEC. And you're just doing that kind of that math with Auburn. It's like, hey, if you have a below average SEC quarterback, really, what is your destiny as a team? Now, with that being said, though, I don't think Auburn is necessarily losing because Peyton Thorne or the other quarterback, Hank Brown, have been playing so poor. I think it is a combination of a lot of things. I think the team, if you watch them, and this is what all my Auburn friends that I was listening to talk about this over the past few days, saying, hey, this team just isn't very well coached. This team is not very well coached. And even if you look at some of the interceptions, I think the was it the last interception that Peyton Thorne threw that it was kind of the wide receiver's fault. Again, the running backs aren't holding onto the ball. It doesn't look like the offense is executing the plays as much as you would like to see them do that, overall for Auburn. And when it comes down to stuff like that, that isn't the player's fault. That is the coach's fault. This team is not well coached. They aren't losing because they're less talented. You look at the Arkansas game. They're more talented than Arkansas. They outgained them by over 100 yards. They're just not executing. They're playing down to their competition a lot of these games. And that falls on the coach. And that's the thing. Hugh Freeze, you got to look in the mirror, man. And if you are going to say, hey, well, it is the running backs aren't playing that well and the quarterback sucks or things like that. Well, you're the guy that brought them in there. You're the guy that if you didn't believe in Peyton Thorne, you got to see him all last year. You could have went to the transfer portal and got somebody. Auburn is a university that would happily pay the bill to bring in somebody of a higher quality or pedigree to come in and play for you guys. But no, you decided to stick it out with Peyton Thorne. That's on you, man. And this is an Auburn team where you're looking at Hugh Freeze and you're looking at his tenure there. He is doing what Brian Harsin didn't do. He's recruiting very, very well. And that is why Auburn brought Hugh Freeze in. They brought Hugh Freeze in to be a gangster and to get you guys a whole bunch of talent. And that's what he has been doing. But again, like I said at the beginning, Hugh Freeze has had a whole thing called foot and mouth syndrome since the loss to Arkansas. Guys, I'm going to show you this quote here where he basically, oh wait, I have to pull it up. Oh wait, I'll be good. I'll go ahead and show you guys this quote here. I won't show you the audio of it because I don't have that pulled up. I'll show you guys a On3 that tweeted the quote. It's basically the same thing. Again, we're not taking this out of context. This is exactly what Hugh Freeze says. I love Sam Pittman and hope he wins the rest of his games, but I'm telling you that the hard truth is that we play them 9 more times. We beat them 9 more times. That's what's hard to take. What does this solve, man? What does this solve with Hugh Freeze? I probably wouldn't be talking about the Bo Wallace quote and the throwing the guys under the bus thing if it wasn't for this thing. What is saying that right there solve? Auburn fans don't want to hear that. Auburn fans want to hear how you're going to make the team better, how you're going to have all of your players execute the offense better. They brought you in to recruit and to have good offenses. And right now we're not seeing that at Auburn. So with these quotes here, guys, and how they've been playing so far this season, I'm not expecting Auburn to do anything drastic and fire Hugh Freeze after this year. But the thing is, when you have quotes like this and you're saying things like this, these are things that when the times get tough, if you keep acting like this, you don't stay around that long. And Auburn is not that patient of a fan base when it comes to this stuff. So I would maybe start being a little bit more humble in some of your press conferences. I was Hugh Freeze, and I would keep recruiting because he's doing a good job of that. But how he's running an offense and how he's handling himself in press conferences, he has not been doing that very, very well so far in his tenure at Auburn. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's going to do it for this episode here today. Let me know what you think about the Bo Wallace stuff, the Hugh Freeze stuff. Again, I don't know all the background information. Maybe there's something where you guys can kind of fill in the blanks with a lot of this stuff. So if you could do that, I would very much appreciate that. And let me know what you think about Hugh Freeze and his job so far at Auburn. How you think the season is going, and how you think things are going to go for the rest of this year. So that is going to do it for this episode here today. If you liked what you saw here today, please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Those are the best things that you can do to help support this channel, and it costs you absolutely $0.00. And feel free to check out the rest of the Sports Detective Podcast channel page to find other videos that you might like. Thank you for watching. Talk to you next time.